Welcome to the Your Ateh podcast, where you'll experience the unfiltered and inspiring world of impact-driven women business owners. I'm your host, Mary Grace Iniguez, a female multi-passionate entrepreneur and the owner of Social Register Network, and I'm on a mission to ignite the power within you. Here at the Your Ateh podcast, we're all about sharing authentic stories, both the triumphs and the challenges, because it's through our life experiences that we can truly impact others. I believe that by opening up and embracing vulnerability, we can empower ourselves and those around us. So grab your headphones and let's celebrate the resilience, passion, and the determination of each impact-driven women business owner. Remember, your story is the spark that can light up the world. Let's make an impact and ignite the power within you. Before we dive into today's podcast episode, I want to offer a gentle reminder that the content we'll be discussing may be sensitive and emotionally challenging for some listeners. This episode will touch upon the topic of miscarriage and the profound experience of grieving the loss of a baby. If you feel that this topic may be triggering for you, or if you're not in this space at this time, I encourage you to prioritize your well-being and consider listening to this episode when you feel ready. Additionally, I always want to remind you that it's okay to pause, take breaks, or skip ahead if you need to during this episode. Your emotional health and comfort is very important to me. If you are currently navigating your own journey of loss or grieving, please know that you are not alone and there are resources and support networks available to you. We'll include some of those resources in the episode description for your reference. Thank you for joining us on this journey of empathy, understanding, and healing. Let's proceed with kindness and compassion for ourselves, but also for each other. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Your Ateh podcast with your host, Mary Grace Iniguez. And of course, I have another Ateh for you today who is special to my heart ever since I've met her. Her name is Katherine Vargas. She is a multi-passionate entrepreneur serving our community in the Orange County. But I know if she can, she would serve literally across the nation, across the world. So we're going to need to make that happen for her in the future. But without further ado, I would love to welcome Katherine Vargas. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited that this is finally happening.
I know it's been long awaited, but I always say, you and I are both very close to our faith. It's all about timing. It's God's time, and it's your time today.
It is. It's time to start getting out there. And I'm glad that you've been patient with me and holding my hand. And then you said, okay, it's time. Like, all right, let's go.
Well, I'm going to hop right in because Katherine and I off camera, of course, are friends. And so I know a lot of things about her, and it's my treat to be able to impact another life with you today, because as women, we have so many different experiences and journeys that are relatable to thousands of women out there. And so I believe today, whoever is listening, I know this is going to be for you. This is resonating for you. And if you know another woman who is experiencing something similar, or maybe needs to hear this episode today, please share it with them. So Katherine, for anyone who doesn't know you yet, let's spend some time a little bit getting to know you, like what you do and who you are.
So I am an entrepreneur just because I started about 1.5 years ago, just thinking about how can I monetize things that I enjoy doing. And then I became an entrepreneur. So it started with notary and networking. And then through Social Register Network, I met Bob from Vinos Unidos. I happen to love wine, and I love that, they're Hispanic owned and operated, and I really wanted to help them out. Best rosé. I don't like rosé, but that rosé I will have. So it was easy for me to start marketing for them because I'm passionate about it and getting them out there. And so all I have to do is connect with people. And if you know me, I love connecting with people. So the notary and networking was still going on. Now I've got the marketing. Now other doors are opening in the future where I'm like, oh my gosh, it started with me just asking myself, who am I and what do I enjoy doing? And now I have all these opportunities. So an entrepreneur is the only way that I can describe myself.
You're a great testament to that in regards to just life happening, and your purpose will unfold for you. I went through that, something similar to that 4 years ago, even when I purchased the company, being a servant leader and a community leader. But when it came to visibility and marketing, that was one of the things that I was kind of like born with. Like, I've been doing it, I've been good at it, but I never tried to monetize it. Like, I just wanted to help people. And I think God will knock at your door and send you people, and you're like, okay, right. I got this. Let me, turn this into something.
And you absolutely can with your passion. So one thing that stood out to a lot of people when I first started my notary business was I wanted to get out into the community. I'm the person that stalks all the dogs on Instagram and I want them all, but I can't have them all. So I decided to do a dog rescue event. And it was free for me to use the sports basement space. And it was free for me to look through my local chamber directory and figure out other people that wanted to partner with me. And we did this all for free. And so many dogs received help, fosters, adoption. And
Wow.
some people ask me, they're like, what does notary and dog rescue have to do with anything? And I'm like, nothing. It's my business. I can do what I want. I've done different things. I've done drives for pregnancy centers. I've done most recently with Businesswoman Brunchin. They went to Skid
Mhm.
Row and I said, let's go. I'll go
Yeah.
help you. And I got to help serve food and clothing. And it's my business. I can. That's the point. And it's what I'm passionate about and connecting people, getting the small businesses out there like, hey, let me help you. You need help? Do you need some marketing? You're not into networking? Cool. Can I bring my people to you? Like just helping people grow, because I think we talk about often as there's a lot of miserable people out there. There's a lot of negativity. Like, be that
Mhm.
little sunshine, And yeah, the monetizing it comes later.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get to do things that, as an entrepreneur, you're not stuck in this box. Like, you can and you can't do. No, there is no box. Don't
Yeah.
ever put yourself in that box.
So when it came to, because I know that you come from corporate too, and do you
Mhm.
still work at your corporate job too?
I do. I do. And the reason that I do, besides the benefits being incredible, the stability, the pay, obviously, but my manager is so great. My manager and my director are so flexible and great with me. I have a 5-year-old and I have her half the time during the week. She only goes to
Mhm.
school half day right now. She'll jump on the call on our huddles and they'll ask her how she's doing. Like, they'll end our team meeting and ask her how she's doing. He will do my review and then say, okay, I'm done with you. Where's Marina? And ask her to join. So because of that environment, because I feel so heard, and if I have a meeting like today, hey, I'll be back. He's like, okay, bye. Like, they create that environment where I feel comfortable. I've been in office settings where it was so toxic. It was so
Yeah.
heavy. It took so much energy. And I can't believe I stayed there as long as I did. But once I left, I was like, so now to be in like a work family type environment, it's really different. And it's a great job with great benefits, like I said. So there's that stability for me. So everything I do afterwards is for for fun, like,
Yeah.
essentially, if it's not going to bring me joy, if it's not going to bring me any sort of like, let me pursue my passion, then I'm not going to do it. you know I don't need to. And
I
a lot
love
of
that
people, I
about
hope
you.
entrepreneurs remember that if you don't feel right about it, if you don't want to partner with it, if you're not happy about it, you don't have to do
Yes, you're in control of that, and if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And unapologetically move on and just make sure it aligns with you. Those are things that I think every entrepreneur needs to hear every single day, because we either get FOMO or we feel like, oh, if we don't do this, then, it'll, mess up a relationship in business, whatever that is. But I think the
it.
first
Right.
thing is, honoring ourselves, which is a perfect segue to you and the journey I want to touch with you, because you and I, first of all, we connected online, and then because of my name, she shared with me something very personal to her about her daughter. Her daughter's name was Gracie. And she says, I just love your name. And we connected on that. Aside from social register and the theme and how aesthetically, aligned it was to Katherine, because she was like, what is this? We connected personally. And so going back to you, because along this journey, there were things that occurred to present day that I would love for you to share with, be an Ateh today to another woman. And so tell us more about that journey in regards to you're married. Well, I'll say you're married right now, and you can share the rest. And you have your daughter, and then also tell me what has happened in the past couple of years too.
Gracie's going there.
She got so if you're watching YouTube, she got the tissues. Girl, I was like, I don't know if I should wear mascara and eyeliner because I'm about to talk to Katherine.
Sure. So my back history, like you said, corporate all the way. I have my bachelor's in healthcare administration. And I'm a senior software support analyst for a huge medical group in California. So how did I get over here, right? I had everything planned. I don't know if it's me being a Virgo or me being a hustler. I don't know. I'm a planner. And I was like, around my 30s, I met my boyfriend who turned husband. And I wasn't sure about marriage and kids then. And then something hit me. And I'm like, yeah, I got to do the marriage and kids thing, you know? So we literally proposed at our 2-year anniversary. And a couple days later, we got married. And then a year later, we had a huge wedding. And then immediately I was like, okay, now we need the house. And a couple months later, we got the house. Okay, now we need the kid. And that took a while for us to get pregnant with Marina. And my spicy little peanut came and completely changed my world. I went from never wanting kids because I was a young auntie, and I was like, that's not for me. I'm going to travel and I'm never going to get married. No one ever asked me to now I want all the babies, right? Mm-hmm. I traveled with my nieces in my late 20s, and I had traveled a lot. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been to San Francisco, but that trip made me see San Francisco through their eyes. And I was like, this is awesome. I get to deliver this experience for them. I need to do that for my own kids, right? So then that want for kids was strong. So we got pregnant with Marina in 2018. We had her. She's great, perfect. I wanted to do more. I want to provide more. So I kept climbing up the corporate ladder, going back to school. I literally had her, and a week later I had finals. So
wow. Oh
I had to let them know some of my assignments might be a little late, you know, but it was possible. And I have pictures where she's a baby and I'm sitting there studying and she's like a little bouncy thing. But thank God for my tribe. Thank God for my family. They always showed up and gave me that opportunity. Like, hey, can you put her to sleep? I need to finish this. Can you help me with this? I've always had hands, thank God. And I had to learn how to ask for help because that's something that I did not know how to do. I had to ask for help. I had to say, I can't do this. I can't do this alone. Please help. And sometimes I didn't say it that graciously. So I was in corporate America. Great. Now it's time to have the next baby, right? Pandemic happened. Hey, let's buy a house. Let's add that to our plate. I'm going to go back from my master's and I'm going to become a notary and gain more money. And this is going to be wonderful. And here's the plan. And in between that, we're going to get pregnant, right? Had all the plans. So I got pregnant in 2020 as the plan went. And then December of 2020, I had a miscarriage. And I didn't expect it to affect me as much as it did. I think society always talks about, you know, a fetus is just a ball of tissue. No, that killed me. Like everything about that miscarriage was not only not part of the plan, it really pulled some things out of me where I was just like, dang. You know, I'm a first generation Mexican. We don't talk about feelings. You stay strong. You throw it under the rug. You stay strong, right? And I literally, that Christmas, I wanted to break down. Not all my family knew in Mexico. And I was on the phone and I was like, do I tell my grandma? And everyone's like, no. You don't tell her. You don't tell her. Like, forget my feelings. Don't talk about it. Like, don't bring everyone else's Christmas down. So
your grandma knew you were pregnant.
She knew I was pregnant. Okay. So I showed face on the camera on Christmas. Hi, Grandma. Yep. Everything's fine. Everything's great. And I remember going into my parents' office for the rest of the night with a bottle of wine. Done. Just gutted. Like, I can't believe I just did that. So I knew I had to break that generational curse, that trauma of hide it, hold it. It's not going to happen. And I don't want to teach my daughter that either.
Yeah, exactly.
Mommy's having a bad day. Mommy's going through it. Mommy's having big feelings. Like, I had to learn to teach her that. I had to learn it, that it's okay for me to cry and not be okay and to talk about it. And then I have to teach her that too. Because she saw mommy not okay, right? That miscarriage was hard, and I wanted to pass the baby naturally and I couldn't. So then they gave me that terrible pill, and I had to go through it by myself because my husband was with my daughter. So I was in the bathroom doing that while he was over here, and I was alone. And I was like, this sucks. Mentally, I was drained. Physically, obviously. After that, I was like, okay, we're doing in-person church again. I need people. I need people right now. I'm going to therapy. Even though it's on Zoom, I'm going to therapy. We're going to do this, right? I started getting healthier physically and mentally with the help of others. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this very slowly. But all of a sudden, all my priorities changed. I wasn't like, oh, I dropped out of my master's program. I stopped all those plans that I had for myself. I was like, I'm not putting that pressure on myself right now. I need to heal. And a couple of months later, we got pregnant again. So excited. I couldn't even wait. I rushed to my appointment without my husband. And that's where they're like, oh, here's the heartbeat. And I'm crying. I'm like, this is wonderful. And then they're like, the doctor comes in and he goes, well, here's my concern. And I was like, no. And I just couldn't hear him after that. I just kept sobbing. I'm like, I just had a miscarriage in January. Like, there can't be a concern. Like, there can't.
Yeah.
So he's like, you need to go for genetic testing and stuff. And the short version is it's genetic testing and results takes weeks, like far too long. At 12 weeks, I found out, and that's 3 months in, that she had a genetic disorder. It wasn't until almost 5 months, almost 6 months to find out all the details after all the testing.
Oh, wow.
You're already showing, she's already moving, she's responding to you. And all the while, the doctor's like, terminate. Like, you could just start over. And I'm not going to lie, at some point I was like, oh, okay. I had a friend in 2015 that went through this. I called her and she was like, don't terminate. You're going to regret that for the rest of your life. Do not terminate. You could do this. And I was like, you're crazy. How are you going to ask me to have a baby that's possibly going to die? She has a fatal diagnosis, trisomy 18. Her chances are 50-50. Like, how am I going to do that? Like, I can't even talk to you. Everyone around me was telling me I could do it, and I couldn't even listen. Right? So I was just mentally preparing for what to do. And it wasn't until the day that they were like, are you going to terminate or not? Because this is the deadline. You can't go beyond this. And she waved in the ultrasound after he was telling me all the things wrong with her. She started waving in the ultrasound. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Like, you want me to terminate her? This is the one that you said was weak. Like, she's literally waving at us right now. Like, what do you want me to do? And so I still didn't know. My husband's like, it's up to you. You know how I feel, but it's up to you. And I just said, we're keeping her. So I had to mentally prepare to lose my child. And we had to mentally prepare our 5-year-old to lose her sister, which was really hard. But I insisted, let's do therapy. So we did therapy. We scheduled it. We did it.
While you were pregnant. While you were carrying.
While we were pregnant. Because our therapist even said, a lot of couples don't even make it through miscarriage. It's a trauma.
Yeah.
You have to go through it together. We were only together for 2 years before we got married. Like, that to a lot of people is still the honeymoon phase. We hadn't gone through a big trauma together, and that was our trauma. And we were in different headspaces at the time. So I just knew, like, let's start going to therapy and see what work we have to do, right? Let's continue to talk to our family and our church family and bring community in to get us through this. And so that's what we did. And there was someone in my mom's group. She's amazing. Her son died of cancer when he was 6. And she started Carter Strong, like #Carter Strong. I didn't know that the cancer research, all the money, only 4% goes to children's cancer specifically. I didn't know that. She always posts about it. So she does fundraisers around Orange County and donates 100% of the proceeds to Children's CHOC for cancer research, right? And I'm like, what a way to honor your son. Like, dang, your son's looking up at heaven like, Mom, look at you. You're a freaking warrior, right? And I'm like, I need that. So in order to, everyone saw I was pregnant, and I was like, okay, what are we going to do? So I reached out to a local pregnancy clinic and I said, look, I'd like to host a virtual baby shower and have all the items donated to you guys so that, moms in need can get what they need, in her honor. So I set up the Amazon gift link and I had all the packages delivered to Horizon Pregnancy Clinic in Huntington Beach under Grace Vargas. So they kept getting packages knowing that it was in her legacy, right? So I announced on Facebook, yes, I'm pregnant. No, this is not a normal pregnancy. So she has a genetic disorder. Her odds are 50-50. She's probably not going to make it. However, I still want to honor her. So please do me the honor of sending gifts to Horizon as a baby shower, And I had friends that, a lot of people are not for pregnancy centers, especially at that time during Roe v. Wade. And I have friends that are not for pregnancy centers, and yet they still put their political views on the side to send a gift in her honor.
Oh, wow.
I had so many people, especially at that time, it was so heated with Roe v. Wade and all the things. And I was like stuck in the middle. I had to log off from social media for a while because I was like, this isn't my battle. This isn't my battle. And a lot of my friends and family just came together to support us. Like they put their political swords and stuff down to support us. And it was beautiful. They were in faith-based areas or like praying and not necessarily praying, but they were still with us, And so I was like, you're still there in spirit. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Just being part of this anyways. You show how much you love. You're uncomfortable. You're not in your space, but you're still here. And that meant so much to me in so many ways because it's still good vibes. It's still good energy for us. Right.
Yeah.
So eventually it came time to have her. And we already had the plan of whose house Marina was going to stay at during the time. I scheduled a C-section because it would be less traumatic for her body, as much as I didn't like C-sections. And so I went in not knowing if she was going to be alive or not, like if she was going to be a stillborn or not. And that is just like this mental battle, right? The week before she was born, my daughter Marina and I were reading, and she likes to read the Bible from the beginning. So she wants to hear about the sneaky snake on repeat. But for whatever reason, on that day, she chose a different verse from Mark 5, which was when they were in the storm and Jesus is out there like, come to me. And Paul's like, there's a storm. I'm not walking out to you, And Jesus is out there like, no, trust me. Come here. I'm going to take care of you, right? And all the apostles are looking at each other like, you go, like, I'm not going out there. And he did, in fact, walk on the water towards Jesus. And Jesus is like, see, I got you. I got you. And he calmed the storm and everybody was calm. And my daughter just randomly picked out that story that night, the week before Grace was born. And I was like, dang, I needed this so bad right now. Like, you got this. It's going to be fine. Right. So when we had that C-section that Friday morning, I just kept remembering it. I'm like, he's got this. He's got this. I go for the C-section. And all of a sudden I hear a little kitten. I hear a little kitten. And I was like, what the heck is that? And my husband's like, it's Grace. I was like, I gave birth to a kitten. She had this high-pitched little meow because she was 3 pounds.
Yeah.
And the plan was, if she were to make it, do not take her to NICU. Give her to us. We're going to let her decide when it's her time to go, right? So we just had this baby, and we don't know how many seconds, hours, minutes. We don't know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. So we were like, we didn't even expect to meet you. And here you are in your 3-pound little glory. Like, oh my gosh, the whole hospital was so excited. The labor and delivery, they're not used to seeing 3-pound babies. Those go to the NICU. And then
NICU,
they're in
yeah.
the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had nurses and doctors lined up, and they were calling her a little miracle baby, you know, and I just remember holding her, and I was like, God, please let me keep her, please. And still, I was like, it's up to you. It's up to you. It's not up to me. Please. And so we had family. Miller Children's Hospital, after the first doctor refused to see us because we didn't terminate her, he referred us to Miller's all the way in Long Beach, which with traffic is hell to get to. That hospital treated us like VIP. Treated
Wow.
us like VIP. Anyone could come see us. They just had to go to the door and say, are you here for Grace? Yeah, go ahead. We had in 4 days, like 20 something visitors just coming to love on her, meet her. When Marina came, they had a music therapist there for her, a children's therapist. They had a photographer for us. They were just like, whatever you guys need, we're here. And on the 4th day, they're like, we don't even know how to explain this, but you guys can go home. Like, we don't even know how she's still alive, but she still has to go with the triage
So for
team.
4 days, she was alive. She was
at the hospital, unassisted, no NICU, no tubes, nothing. She was trying to latch. She was eating, crying, like just a regular baby, just tiny. And I was like, everyone was in awe. And then they said, you can take her home. But again, she has a fetal diagnosis. You're going to have a triage team. And I was like, okay. So we went home and we got to spend Christmas with her. And we had both of our daughters. And she lived a total of 18 days. Right after Christmas on December 28th, I was spending time with her with both of my daughters. And my husband was in the garage. And thankfully, my mom picked up my daughter Marina and said, you know, she must be cabin, you know, stir crazy, like cabin fever, like, let me get her out. I was like, okay. So she took Marina. I was watching trash TV on the TV with Grace on my chest, just relaxing, just happy. And then my husband came in and I said, can you hold her real quick? I need to grab some tea. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he washed his hands and he grabbed her. And I swear in seconds, he's like, panicking. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? He's like, her fever, like, or her temperature, it's dropped. And I'm like, wait, what? I've had her on my chest all day. Like, what are you talking about? And, you know, she was just waiting for her dad. Like, she was just waiting to say bye to her dad. And so he was in panic mode. And, you know, that fight or flight, usually I'm the fighter. I checked out. I didn't even know. Everything was going so fast and so slow at the same time. And then it dawned on me as he was doing CPR on her on the table. I was like, oh, she's going now. Dang. Okay. So again, everything is going fast and slow at the same time, but I had to accept that. She was like, okay, Mom, I'm done. I gotta go. And I was like, dang. Ambulance came, paramedics took her, we go to the hospital, you know, that whole thing. And I was just holding her after she passed away. And I was like, thank you. I just kept thanking her over and over. She showed me what true love is. She showed me how to be vulnerable. She showed me what was next. Like, Mom, you got this. You can do so much. And as women, we don't have faith in ourselves often. And sometimes the people in our life also help with that in a negative way. So she showed me the strength that I needed. And she showed me, she just showed me a lot of things. For 18 days and 3 pounds, that little girl, she showed me how to navigate teaching Marina about her faith and her strength. She just showed us all so many lessons in such a short time that I was like, dang. No, there are no classes in college that you could take to teach you the things that little girl taught me, man. Just incredible. And I knew that I needed to heal. So I was doing all the things. I was like taking time. I was disconnected. I was reconnected. I had voicemails, calls, and I would just, no, I'm not going to pick up today. Or I'm going to pick them all up. I'm going to respond via text. learning how to navigate, how to heal, learning how to navigate, how to go on. And then like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a TED Talk today? Is it going to be a Bible verse? Is it going to be prayer? Is it going to be a phone call? Is it like, what is it going to be today? And my advice to everyone is do all the things. Don't limit yourself. When it comes to healing, do all the things. Do it for yourself. But for me, I wasn't just doing it for myself. I was doing it for my daughter. Marina was still alive and well. Thank God. And I needed to get it together for her. But I also showed her, we always tell her, like, are you having big emotions? Like, and she saw me break down multiple times. And I'm like, Mommy's having big feelings. And it was so awesome to see her come and pray over me. Like, oh, Mom, let me go pray over you, Mom. Let me pray over your feelings. You're going to be okay, Mom. Like, just seeing that side of her, I'm like, yes, you tiny human. You're so strong. You are so strong and so loving. You're going through this too, and you're looking out for me. That's so powerful. And I always tell her prayers are so powerful. She's so in tune with her faith. And it was just a lot. And a couple months later is when I picked up a book that I would have never read before about goddess energy. And I talk about it at some of my, the speaking engagements with marketing and stuff. And it's not something I would have read. I was looking for it earlier. I can't find it right now, but it was a book about goddess energy. And it was talking about like what depletes your energy. And that was like, I need to heal. So the things or the people that were depleting my energy needed to go. Like, I needed to put them to the side because right now is my healing era. Like, it's my healing era. I have no time or space for anything else. Like, I've been the giver. I've been the hero. I've been the provider. It's my turn. I just went through this trauma and I need my space. If you're not there to support me or hold me through this, no matter how loud I cry or how loud I get, you need to go. I don't have the energy for you. Like I had a lot of bad times, but I had the focus to heal. And I stayed in therapy by myself. And I started reading that book on goddess energy, like I said, about depleting and ways of healing and like small tricks that were cool to read about, like grounding, You're super stressed out. You're just in your head. There's too much going on. You're overwhelmed. Take off your shoes and go step on some grass or some what? And I've done that. I started doing that. Like, there's been days where my dog is laying out in the grass and I'm laying next to him. I'm like, let's go. Like, let's just let God's nature heal you. It was never about like material things for me. Nothing's about material things for me. Like, I don't care. Again, not just because my priorities changed. I've just never been that person. Like shopping therapy, that wasn't going to do it. Like, I had to do internal healing stuff. Surrounding myself with positive people. Surrounding myself with people that actually want to talk about her. I gave my family the opportunity. It's a very hard question to ask our family. Like, hey, do you want to meet her or do you not? And a lot of them said no. I can't meet her. You're like, she's going to die. No, I can't meet her. And some of them showed up anyways. And I was like, wow. Yeah. And they were trying to hold back tears. And I'm like, oh no, my daughter is worth all your tears. My daughter is worth all your hurt. No, you let that go. You need to let all that machismo stuff at the door. This is real life. This is real stuff. I had people ask me like, are you really going to put your daughter Marina through that? And I'm like, what, through life? How to navigate grief? Yes, I'm going to teach her how to navigate grief. Yes, I'm going to teach her that life isn't always fair. And as long as you have love and support and you use your words, you'll be okay. You're going to be fine.
I just have to say that you share that Marina, is a strong little human being and her praying over you. But that she saw that modeled in you. I had to mute myself so many times because your story, obviously you and I share so many different connections. And as you were sharing your entire story about Gracie, and even before that, and having a miscarriage, a lot of people who've listened to this podcast knows that I had one a year ago. I mean, I actually around this time, so maybe a month or so after. And I'm going to share this because this is what's coming to my heart is I believe that me interviewing you today was meant for me today. Because I've been trying to navigate the 1 year mark of finding out I was pregnant and then going through the memories. Exactly what you went through in regards to trying to do it naturally and it didn't happen. And then, girl, because I know you relate, you still had to show up to work for other people, knowing that you were carrying life in you that wasn't going to, be a successful pregnancy. I took the pill as well. And I know what you mean. Because even though my husband, and my husband is there from me from literally the time I wake up to the time I sleep, I still experience that alone. Like I was the one who had to see it, feel it in your body happening. And so I just want to thank you because with all of this that happened to me, it confirmed to me how strong women are and the shit we have to go through and how we still show up for other people. And your interview today, it's going to come out on Monday. So everyone's going to hear this. That Monday, 2 weeks from then is when I find out I'm pregnant. It's going to mark the year. It's March 14th, I believe. And so I believe in God. I believe in everything. And I believe that me interviewing you, because to be very vulnerable in the last 2 weeks, I've been struggling with it, but still showing up.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get easy.
Yeah.
Girl, and it's a year later, right? And like you said, people say, oh, it's just a fetus. But for me, it was life. It was, and even for me, now I'm healed from this, right? But back a year ago, I thought, what did I do? What can I do to prevent this in the next one, right? So thank you. I wanted to thank you because your story just, when you shared your story with me before, it impacted me. And actually I found out about Gracie, her whole story through your Instagram post, and I had no idea. Then you shared with me. And then I'm just so honored that you're coming on my podcast to share with the world because it's brave of you. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength to go back to that. But your heart is such a servant heart that you want to help another woman. And you believe that Gracie's story is worth that. Like she was a purpose. And that is what someone told me. A good friend told me when I had my miscarriage. She was like, I want you to lean on the perspective of the baby came into your life for a purpose. And whatever that purpose was, whether it was 6 weeks or 18, full term, the full weeks and then 18 days, there was a purpose in it. And I tried to look at it in that way.
Right. And that's the thing. I was looking for healing and I found that energy book and it really started putting things into perspective for me. Shortly after losing Gracie, I lost my cousin to cancer and his cancer was quick. It took him in about a year. And seeing them two go, I remember telling Marina, I'm like, hey, Uncle Ronald passed away. And she was like, oh, he's with Grace? And I was like, oh. And she's like, oh, God's going to heal both of them, Mom. They're together. And I was like, dang, you're right. Oh my God. So then it made me happy. And in my head, he and others that I've lost are raising her for me until I get there. So that gives me peace. Like, all right, you guys are no longer suffering. You guys are good, so just little things like that. But I selfishly only want positive energy right now. So it's been a lot of work of, even when I'm networking, like I've been asked a million times, do you want to sell life insurance? I believe in life insurance more than the next person. Trust me. I have everyone in this house covered. My dog's covered. Like everyone's covered. However, it's just not for me. And I get to say no. I just politely that's for you. That's great. But years ago in college, I read this book, and I remember this. There was a statement on there that said, "What's true for you is not true for everyone else." I am on my true for me path. These are the things that make me happy and give me energy, so that when I'm with my daughter, she gets happy mommy, energetic mommy, her cheerleader, and vice versa, you know? And we have this love, we have this bond, we have this connection. And I love showing her that it's okay if you're not into that and you're into this. It's okay. Like, she's an odd little kid and I love it. Like bird watching, we're all about it, you know, just certain things that we love to do. We're both animal freaks. So like taking her to the zoo, just like the tiniest thing, but do it with someone that you love, and do it with someone that respects you, and do it with someone that gives you energy, that'll motivate you, you know, and that is what I'm trying to show her, and also what I'm trying to live at the same time, whether it be with networking or friends or family or whatever. Like, let's do this with positive energy. Everything that we do, let's do it with positive energy. Let's put ourselves into it and be present for one another, you know, and all that is stuff that people talk about but don't exactly live, you know? And right now, that's just where I'm at right now. I'm like, I'm still in my healing space, but I am going to tell Grace's story no matter how much it hurts. I'm going to look at her pictures. I'm going to talk to her. I've actually sat down and had dinner with 3 other trisomy families. Wow. Out of nowhere, all these people were like, hey, my manager's going through the same thing you are. Will you talk to her? And I'm like, oh, okay. I had a Horizon said, you need to meet this family. They just went through what you guys went through. And all of a sudden, we were this little community of families that lost a child. And it was like one of the couples had lost their child 15 years ago. And the dad had never really talked about it until we sat down at dinner. And he had other dads there to talk about it with. And even his wife was like, you've never talked about it. He's like, first of all, men never get the same support women do. I would get 40 text messages a day, phone calls, and my husband never got any. And I felt for him, because even to this day, I'm like, your daughter died in your arms. Like, work through that. Someone ask him how he's doing, please. If I'm not filling your cup, find someone that is, because that was a huge piece of trauma right there. Right. So it's just like finding your people, finding your support, finding what's going to fill your cup.
That is beautiful. Like using your experience, your pain, because I call it, you know, it's our purpose, our pain, what we've gone through to serve other people. And now you've become that beacon. You've become that purpose to impact other people who are going through the same thing.
Like I said, it's not what I meant to do. It wasn't part of my plan, but it came at me. Life is like, this is what you're going to do. And kind of like Lauren said on your podcast about a week or 2 ago, I was like, gosh, you dropped so much knowledge for people. And she goes, I'm a vessel. And that's what I used to say too. I'm like, I'm a vessel. This isn't my story. This is Grace's story. I'm just a vessel. I'm just here to honor her and talk about her legacy and how it's changed my life, how it's changed my priorities, how it's changed how I do business, how it's changed how I approach relationships, how it's changed my morning and all my thoughts. Like I said, from not talking about feelings to now crying on a podcast.
Yeah.
in front of strangers, you know. And sometimes like I've met strangers on airplanes, and they'll ask like, who's the picture on your phone? And I'm like, oh, those are my 2 daughters. And oh, how old are your daughters? And then I'm like, oh, well, one is forever 18 days. And the other one is, and they're like, oh my gosh. And sometimes I'll just say the story quickly in a straight face. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm like, because my baby, it's her story.
Yeah.
You know, just some days it affects me more than others. And I think too many people think that strong women just stay strong. I'm like, no, I lose my often. You don't see me in the shower. You don't hear me in the car. You don't see me in my office. Like, I'll be fine. And then the sound of a kitten will trigger me or a new baby or being in a hospital will trigger me. And then I'm not fine.
Yeah. And, you know, I saw a quote that goes around on social media that the strongest ones, the ones that are leading other people, the community leaders, those are the ones that you need to check on more often, because those are the ones that are, yeah, they are the ones that are, putting their all in other people, the strength that they're, putting together, but then behind doors, in their car, in the shower, when they're alone, on a podcast,
Right.
all the things.
But
I
I'm
feel
happy.
you.
I'm happy too. I'm happy too. I'm happy to
Yeah.
be there for whomever needs help. I'm happy to be that person and carry that. That's fine, because I had an army around me too. My best friend, the day she had moved up north, like 3 hours up north over the summer. And then literally the day after Grace passed away, she showed up at my house and I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, can I come in? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So she came in and she sat down and she talked to us and talked us through everything. And then she was like, well, I said, what are you doing here? Are you visiting someone in Orange County? And she goes, no, actually, I drove out here just for you. I'm here to serve you. So now that I drove 3 hours, you have to give me something to do. And I was like, oh, you drove out here for us? And she's like, yeah, now you have to give me something to do. And at that time we weren't hungry, but we were thirsty. She went to Trader Joe's, and for the next 2-3 days, she just brought groceries and food for us and prayed over us. And it was just beautiful. A year later, she died of a heart attack. My best friend did. And
Wow.
I so happened to be in Solvang, and her mom lives in Santa Maria, which is 30 minutes away. I was going to have brunch with her the next day, and I guess she suffered a heart attack, and that, again, was unexpected. And then I show up the next day at her mom's door, and I was like, hi, Maria, I'm Katherine. And she's like, oh, she had family there already. And I said, I'm here to serve you. Like, what do you need? I said, your daughter showed up literally the day after my daughter died to serve me. And here I am to serve you. And so at her reception, her mom called me. She goes, I need you to serve. And so at the reception, I was serving food during this. I'm like, I'm here to serve, people that are genuinely there for you. You got to do it back.
Yes. Yeah. Those are that is your true tribe. That's what I feel. And I feel like the world, you and I can speak of this until we're blue in the face, is if all of us just served one person, just went out there to serve other people, we would live in a better place, in a better world, especially in the business community. Because in the business community, and what I've noticed in, all these years, is predominantly in the women community, that a lot of it could be catty, a lot of it could be competition, or just people trying to like ring each other. And I'm like, okay, there's enough for everybody.
There's enough for everyone. I tell that to people all the time. There's no need for competition. There's no need for cattiness. There's enough for all. And if that person's service doesn't serve you, go find the other person's.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, Katherine, in regards to your healing journey and just everything you've been doing, I know that there was an awakening for you to take care of you and just serve your dreams, serve your wants and your needs, and being fulfilled as a woman. Can you speak on that for anyone who hasn't, who's maybe thinking about it, who's like, you know what, there's some areas of my life where I'm not going after that dream, or I've stopped dreaming. I've met so many people who've done that. I was part of that circle as well. And my goal and my mission is to ignite the power in another woman by our story and allowing them. I told you this. We all think we need permission. We don't need permission. But if you think you do, this is your permission. So how, what can we say? What can we share? What can you share in regards to that?
So I obviously went through a lot, and I'm still in the healing journey. And in that journey, I realized that, yes, we're just going to get to it. My spouse and I, we were together a total of 10 years, married for 8. And I think we kind of grew apart. And a lot of me wanted to, and did, we did the work. We saw therapist after therapist, after pastor, and it was just years and years. And I get that marriage is hard and it is a lot of work. I think personally, we did all we could.
Yeah.
And especially after this trauma and in the healing period, it was a realization that my plan of a happy ending wasn't going to be here with him. I didn't think that I was filling his cup anymore, and vice versa. And finally, we just had to have that serious conversation that no, you're not filling my cup, and no, you're not filling my cup. Okay, what's next? What does this look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I want this to go as amicably as possible because he is the father of my children. You know, he is Marina's dad. And I don't care how uncomfortable I am. I want to make this space great for her and for us. I've seen it. I mean, it's 2024. Divorce is normal. Unfortunately, we talked to a family therapist and they're like, it's going to be less normal for married couples than divorce. Divorce is so high right now. Mm-hmm. And I was afraid to pull the trigger. And then finally I did. And we still live together. We're still navigating everything slowly. And like I said, amicably. And then I had to give myself, like you said, that permission to say, and I actually talked to somebody about this. I'm like, my failed marriage. And she's like, you didn't fail. Mm-mm. Failed marriage. You did your best. You tried. And now you move on. You know? Okay. You move on together. You move on for the sake of Marina. And I do hope 100% that he finds the person to fill his cup because he deserves it.
Yeah.
He deserves it. I deserve it, you know, when I'm ready, not now. And Marina deserves to have happy, healthy parents.
Exactly.
It's not, and I had friends that are like, I'm the product of two unhappy parents that stayed together. And I wish my mom would have left. I wish my dad would have left. I wish they would have been separated because that isn't love. You know, it's not, it's feeling like you're trapped. It's feeling like you're obligated. And like I said, after so much loss in my life, I don't have that energy for obligations and feeling that guilt. Like, don't guilt me. I understand what the Bible says. I do. Like I said, we did as much work as we could. And then I just finally, you know, said, God, give me grace again. Give me grace. And yeah, so far we still go to church together as a family unit. And I still plan on doing that. Divorce looks a little different nowadays. It can be different. It doesn't have to be the way people think, you know? And so now I'm going to navigate that as healthy as I can, you know? And it takes a lot of work for me too. So much work. I stay in therapy. Wednesday afternoons don't bother me. I'm in therapy and I am navigating all the things and taking accountability for my faults as well. And learning how to say sorry. And this is what I did. And this is what's next, you know?
I think it's beautiful because someone once told me that the same thing you said, that in regards to, you know, people who get divorced think it's a failed marriage, but it's not. For that season, you both did something for each other. There was a purpose to be together. And now it's just an end of that journey, just the end of that season. And now it's time for a new season. And I commend you for standing in your boots of what is fulfilled for you. Like, what does fulfillment even look like for you? Because if you're not filled and he's not filled, and then you're in your head, like coming together at dinner, coming together at whatever, but there's no true love, there's no true interaction of two happy people, that is not going to do well for your children either, right? And so you'd rather have two happy, fulfilled mom and dad who are just out of this world happy and model that for your children. And I, you know, because I'm Filipino and you and I kind of share, you know, Hispanics, Latinas, we share the same kind of culture where we don't talk about this stuff, or you kind of stick it out for the family. You do all these things where basically you sort of put your needs behind everyone else's. And I'm proud of you because you put yours in the center, in the forefront of what does that even mean? And I think for women, especially for women, we don't do that. So many women find it out after their children leave the nest, or some people find it out like after they've had 10 kids or whatnot. And then they wake up in a Hawaii vacation and they're just like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
I've heard stories like that.
Right. I mean, and that's what I just didn't want to do that anymore. And what was it that I was just going to say too, is the thought came in about, oh, there it goes. But yeah, so it's like I said, it's something we're still navigating. There's a lot of parts and pieces to this. Marina still doesn't know yet because we're taking everything so slow and being strategic about it. And I think, yeah, it's just like you said, it's like you close one chapter and then you open another. And now, just because it didn't work out for us doesn't mean I can't wish you and hope for the best for you. And you get to be in your space. And now she gets to see what daddy's space it looks like. And I can tell you now, it's going to be a lot of action figures and a lot of like cool thrifting stuff. We have that in common for sure. But things in the house have been so much more like truthful now.
Yes.
So much more truthful. Like we are so much more like our swords are down now. Like, okay,
Yeah.
here we are. Let's do this. Let's be amicable. Let's be honest. Let's call each other out. We do that too. And
well, now you're working together because you're speaking at the same, frequency.
right.
Because you both have shared your truth.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and just the other night too, like I wasn't sure if he was going to go out or if I was going to go out or whatever. We both stayed home and I'm like, I'm going to watch this movie. He's like, oh, I haven't seen it. All right. Well, let's sit down and watch it together. Cool. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So it's like that relationship is still there. And that's really cool. And that's what I appreciate. Still the deep conversations about what's going on in the world and how to raise our daughter and things of that nature. We still have those. We'll have serious conversations or text messages because we don't have serious conversations around her. And then just, oh, look, this made me think of you, And that's still cool. Like that relationship is still there. And I appreciate it a lot.
Friendship is still there. And I think that's awesome. My parents are divorced and I've known so many people that have gotten divorced, and it's sad to see the ones where it ends negatively, where like they literally they hate each other. They can't stand being in the same room. And then you're dropping off kids and it's like this whole thing. I think the most beautiful ones are the ones that are handled like you guys are doing it, where there's a beautiful friendship, because you could still be friends, but it doesn't mean that we have to be together, that we're not in love or compatible at this moment for this season, whatever that means, right? So I think that's awesome. So if you could give a woman a tip today in regards to honoring themselves, what would that be from you?
Do the work. Do the work. Find out what that means. Find out what that looks like. Like I said, it took me 3 therapists to find the one that fit me. I literally had to tell one like, hey, you're really cool. However, you're not my bestie. So you need to step aside. And then I went to another one. And then I went to another one. And the one that I have.
Like when you find the right one, what are like check boxes?
They're not. Well, for me personally, I didn't want my bestie. Don't tell me about your weekend girl. Like I'm paying you to help me navigate this, Friends and family, they're wonderful. They are not your therapist. Let the pros do what they do. And work through those issues, like be vulnerable, be honest, like, hey, this was my bad. How can I work through that? Do the work, figure out who you are, figure out what your passion is, do the work, take accountability for your actions. I'm still working on all these things. P.S. by the way, still working on it. And just do it wholeheartedly, do it genuinely. Just do the freaking work. That's all I have to say. Like, do it in every way, whether it be, going to the gym, seeing a therapist, working through those traumas. Just do the work, because ultimately you're doing it for yourself. Mm-hmm. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it so that your next marriage isn't toxic, or your next job, like you're not going in crying. or leaving crying, like, why am I still here? Why can't I get out? Like, do the work, heal yourself. And whether, like I said, a TED talk today or a networking group tomorrow, like, just do the work. Just get yourself out there. It's not good. If it's not going to come to you, you got to go do it, honey. Get uncomfortable until you're in that space where you could breathe again.
And that's so important. I think a lot of, before I've done the work, I was always scared to go back to that because I was taught that, reliving those things is not healing from it. But what I've learned now going through the personal development, life coaching, and all the things is you have to go through it. It doesn't mean you're going to go there and stay there and like live in that trauma that you went through and that pain, but you have to go there. You have to talk to someone about it instead of trying to harbor it in and then, like you said, be at a job that you freaking hate and you're literally crying every day. It's because that trauma is stuck in you and it's coming out through the decisions you're making. You're ending up at careers that you actually don't want to do, relationships that you don't want to be in, all the things. So it's a trickle effect. So like Katherine said, doing the work, finding what that means to you, whatever that modality is doing it for yourself, that you now and for your future.
Right. And it doesn't just affect you. Like, I have a 5-year-old, maybe you don't have kids. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your partner. Like, don't dump on them. Figure it out. Work it out. It's not everyone else's fault, It's not the barista's fault for getting your order wrong. Girl, you couldn't even say the words. Like, it's a trickle down effect. Like, imagine if everyone around us did the work.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Girl, I was telling my friends the other day, I was like, I just see people for who they are now. Not negative, because before I used to react. Things used to trigger me. Right. But now I just see them for who they are. And I'm like, they're probably going through something because I was there. And it allows you to see the world from a different perspective and not stress yourself out and not take that on emotionally or mentally, right? And affect you. And that's why the healing is so important. And like Katherine said, I'm still going through it. It's not a fix all, you have 6 sessions and you're done. No, it's like life work. It's literally life work.
Right. And like I said, I was a little toxica. I was such a toxic person in the past. It was
same.
So going through like the healing stuff going through the healing journey has been eye-opening. I'm like, I had a lot of apologies to a lot of people.
Same, girl. I know. In last episode, I shared how when I was younger, that if I just went to the grocery store in my early 20s, because I just went through a lot of stuff, right? Having a baby early and all the things, that it's like I had my guards up all the time. I was like waiting for someone to say something so that I could bite back. That's not healthy.
No, I had a moment in September where I was like a complete Karen to some poor cash register. And I was so upset about my order at a concert. And my friend's like, what just got over you? And it like, I was so stressed with stuff at home. And I felt so guilty and so mad that I was guilty for being in a concert. And I had all the things in my head. And I was like, it wasn't even their fault. Yeah. It was 100% me in that moment. And I'm like, dang, sorry.
Oh, you just mentioned a key thing is when you don't heal, when you don't, take care of you, it shows up in the most unexpected places where you're not a happy person. Like you literally see negativity in everything you're doing, or you're just not a happy energy.
Right.
And you don't attract good energy either when you're not good energy.
Exactly. So yeah, things have been a lot different, thank God. And I'm still learning and I'm still growing and I'm still failing and I'm still getting up every day and doing it again. Anytime my daughter and I have a hard day, she's a spicy peanut. And she's like, Mom, I'm sorry for being a monster today. I'm like, hey, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day, sweetheart. Tomorrow's another day. Let's try again.
But see how she's apologizing? That is awesome. Girl, I would have never done that. Like that.
I told them all the time. I said, your emotional level is advanced. Like there's adults that can't even apologize. So I'm like, the fact that you can apologize is a huge deal. Now making the change the next day is another battle, but at least you recognized, at least you recognize that you got a little too brave. let's work on that. So every day's different for both of us, for sure.
Now work on the change, on the little change you're going to make for tomorrow. I love it. I always
everything.
I absolutely adore you. I love our conversations, even outside this podcast. When we would hop on a Zoom, we'd be on for hours every time I see you. You just have a very special place in my heart. And I want everyone to be able to connect with you too. So let's make sure, drop your info. Where do you want them to connect with you and catch you? Drop it now, and then we'll put in the descriptions as well.
Sure. Yeah. MrsKatherineVargas.com it's my website, but it has my Instagram, my Facebook, all the things. I just started a meetup group too, because I like networking in different areas. So if anyone wants to come join me, I have the meetup group too. But mostly my Instagram is the one that I update the most. Yes.
Okay, so we'll make sure we drop all of that. But again, you could go to her website. If anything updates or changes, her website most likely will have the most up-to-date info. She's also a member of Social Register. She is in Orange County. I forgot to share that. She is in Orange County, but she is in no way or form, stuck in her barriers or borders, or going to let that stop her. So if you are across the world, please connect with Katherine. She is an amazing, beautiful soul to have in your circle, as you can see. And also, I just look forward to 2024 and 2025 and just seeing you blossom and seeing all the updated changes and evolution. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. It's been a really, really good year. I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Yes, I am too. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And we're going to go ahead and close it out. If there's one more thing you would like to share with them before we close it out.
Let's connect. It's what I tell everybody. It could be a virtual, it could be live coffee with Kat is once a month. I just randomly pick a day to go support a small coffee shop down the street, Houseplant Nation. And let's just have a cup of coffee. And literally all I ever ask people is, who are you? How can I support you?
Yes, that's why I love her. We literally vibe on the same energy. Thank you so much, Katherine.